Hello. So this is the end of the Austrian Grand Prix, and welcome to Sports Plaza. So today with me I have Shubham and Ayush. So it did not rain today, but it certainly rained penalties. Ayush, what do you have in store for the penalties? I think there was about six, seven penalties given both during qualification as well as today's race. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, that was true. That's true. Vidit, hi Vidit, hi Shubham. I think after a long time, I saw as many penalties as today. I think Michael Massey and the other race stewards, they handed way too many penalties as compared to other, or probably the drivers themselves. They did not race in accordance with the rules. थोड़ा
But do you
leniency भी
think
कम हो
was
गया.
Norris's penalty in the first lap justified?
Norris's penalty. Earlier, so in the past few years, if you see, this would not have gotten him a penalty. I think today was a bit harsh, but that's true for others also. So,
No, no, absolutely, I agree because it was a like for like case with Perez later on. Had they not given the penalty to Norris in first lap, probably Perez will also be saved. But since they had already given that penalty to Norris, it was a very quid pro quo thing that Perez was also applicable. Also, I think there's some signal issue from Shubham's side, but are you sure? What do you think of Max
I
back
would
to
like to
back?
add one thing to it.
Yeah, yeah, please.
The rule is very clear. You have to leave one enough space for one car to pass. So they
Correct.
have made it very black and white. There is no gray area there. If you
There was just
see,
one gray area ki, whose car is actually ahead to actually take the racetrack. That was a bit not clear from all the camera angles. So that's just one gray area I feel which was exploited. But I feel if the first penalty was justified, Perez's two penalties were also justified.
yeah, absolutely. And then I think Sonoda, the penalty with Sonoda was given was very bad. I would call it more of bad luck than anything else. Apart from him, Stroll also had a 5 second penalty, and
Yeah, Shubham's
who
back with us. Shubham, so Max winning back-to-back races, he did not get a lot of visibility or coverage today, but he won't be disappointed by that. I actually felt Max wasn't racing today. I hardly saw him, but he must be out of the moon with Red Bull winning five races in a row, four going to Max, one going to Perez. What do you think about today's race for Max?
Yeah, like you said, he wasn't in the limelight. They weren't showing him much. It was something, that I think all of us saw coming because he got a really good start. And I think just after 10 laps or so, he had a lead of 10 plus seconds. It was
the
very obvious that if something was to happen with his tires, then we may see a different result. Otherwise, it was pretty obvious. For me, one person who I was really looking out for was actually Russell, and I'd really hoped that he finished in the top 10. That didn't happen. He missed out to Alonso, I think, in the last third or fourth last lap or so. So that was a little disappointing for me to see because I really wanted to see him finish in the points. It's been a really long time coming for him to come in the points.
Correct.
And
Ayush, any disappointed for you, from your side for this race?
uh, Ferrari, I think they picked up themselves after a disappointing qualifying session, and Norris did well. I think Hamilton. I think to make it interesting, because what will happen if Verstappen takes a bigger lead from now on? The entire season will become really boring. It will happen what Hamilton used to do in the previous years. So
But I
I
use the
wanted.
next two races. I know we discussed this last time, but the next two races being Silverstone and Hungaroring, they are
Yes,
absolute favorites for Lewis Hamilton. So I don't
absolutely.
expect the final drivers' championship to get over or the lead going to Max anytime soon. But Shubham, what do you feel about Pierre Gasly's performance today?
so he has actually been doing really, really well. Last race, he was really unfortunate to get that puncture of Leclerc. And I think he's for me, I think he's really pushing the best and the max he can out of that Alpha Tauri. If you just keep in consideration how Yuki Tsunoda has been performing, but it's been a little below par than what I had expected. But then it's also due to the fact that McLaren and Ferraris have really come a far way from where they were, last year. Thought he
There,
would slightly better today, but then I think he again finished in points. So that's been, something consistent with him.
there.
So
So I would
I
like to
personally
add something in
expected
this.
him to finish in the top seven, but he finished a little below. Yes, Ayush, please.
Yeah, so as we've discussed in the past also, AlphaTauri's car is brilliant for qualifying. They have good straight line pace, but the car is not very effective in races. Race pace is still missing there. And why is it so? I do not know. Being the sister team, I think they want to keep it a tad bit below their main team, that is Red Bull Honda. But other than that, I think Gasly is performing as much as he can, and I was happy for him. The car is
And Ayush,
bursting in
finally,
performance.
Ricardo picking up the pace, getting some points after he made up about 7, 8 places. Happy for him.
So I'll tell you one thing. Ricardo being 7 places is not a big deal. His car is supposed to be there. So I'll just give you an example. If you remember Monza last year, Hamilton had a 10-second penalty, and then during the red flag, he had to take that. After the red flag, he had to take that 10-second penalty, and people were worried. I wasn't worried. I knew he will come up to somewhere seventh, eighth, and then that's where the cars which are as good as his car or little bit worse will give him some problems. But he will definitely overtake the cars from say 8th to 14th. So for Ricardo also, it's not that difficult to, because his car is so superior. It's not that difficult for him to come from 13th to 7th, 8th. But now going any further will be more difficult, which was visible today. But I think he needs to do a little better. He's still
Was there
Absolutely. So this is not his peak,
Norris
but
is
certainly
Norris
some
is
improvement.
Norris is doing much better than him. He's far behind
Yes, sure.
Norris.
I was saying, I don't know if you guys have discussed, sorry, I got cut in the beginning, but
Hmm.
are you, this is for you. Do you think the penalties on Perez were justified?
Uh,
So Shubham, actually we did
yeah.
discuss this, so I'll
Hmm.
not discuss this again. The starting 2 minutes we discussed about penalties. So Shubham, my question for you will be that Bottas finished second, and this is his highest finish for this season. What do you think? With specifically Hamilton signing on another 2 year contract, what is the situation for Bottas for next year?
That's going to be tricky. I mean, considering Hamilton's been given a new contract and there's no word on Bottas's renewal. But if I was in Mercedes' place, if I was in Toto's place, I think I would definitely bring in Russell, to be honest. But let's not take it away from Bottas. He's been extremely unlucky as well. Last race, they didn't give him his preferred strategy of going with two stops. Then a couple of times he's had like crashes or punctures, and because of that, he didn't finish. And he's had two thirds, I believe. I don't think he'll be off the grid, to be honest. I think some or the other constructor would sign him in. Personally, in the silly season, I feel Ocon could definitely lose his seat, and that
Ocon
could
has
be.
already. Sorry. I would like to.
Ocon has already got a
Uh,
3 year
uh,
contract, and in fact,
yes, with
since he's
Alpine.
got an
Yeah.
extension, he's been performing miserably, specifically
Yeah,
the last
Yeah.
2 races in the Red Bull ring.
He
So,
has to forget these two. This entire
right.
Austria
obviously.
stint. It was miserable for him. One thing I would like to add is we guys do not know yet. Hamilton has signed his 2 year contract, but there could be a provision. There could be a. Uh, I mean, one of the
Terms and
in
conditions.
the terms and conditions, one of the terms and conditions could be there that he does not want Russell. This has happened in the past when Alan Prost did it for Ayrton Senna. So we do not know yet. Uh, and Hamilton is very capable of doing that, making sure that Russell does not become his teammate because he might be wary of him. He knows Russell is very capable, and he knows Bottas is a team man. And over the past few years, he's uh, done really well for the team. I mean, he's heard all the instructions and followed all the instructions. So yeah,
Definitely. So Bottas has been an excellent wingman rather than a teammate. I would call him a wingman more appropriately for
wingman.
Hamilton. But Ayush, what do you think of the final standing? Max has extended his lead by 32 points. Red Bull has extended the lead over Mercedes by 44 points. What do you think is the strategy for Mercedes?
We'll get to know. I think these next two races, Mercedes will throw their best. whatever they have, because after that, after the break, the races are well balanced. Anyone can.
Yeah.
There are some few strong races for Red Bull and a few strong races for Mercedes, and it can swing anyways. Of course, losing the next two races for Mercedes will be more of a mental blow than anything else. Uh, so let's see. I think after
Yeah,
these
just
two
to
races,
highlight and just
we'll
to
get a
highlight,
better picture.
I think it happened once before as well, where Hamilton was really behind in the first half of the season, and there's a lot of talk about him really showing up, and his performances usually actually improve in the latter half of the season. So I think it'd be a bit too early to rule him out.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And on this note, now the next race is the Silverstone race, the British Grand Prix on 18 June. Looking forward to that. Thank you for streaming in. And for more such content, please continue liking, subscribing to Sports Taza. Thank you.